perfect day. It really is. We know, and the Yankees know, the two best teams in baseball are on the field that day. And whoever wins that game is going to win the World Series. We both knew that going in. They've got their big gun. Ron Guidry's pitching, and we have our work cut out for us. Doesn't matter if we're in Fenway Park or wherever. That guy was going to be tough. And Yaz got him early. He hit a 2-run homer, put us up 2-0, and Torres is dealing. I liked our guy too. He was a big, strong horse. He pitched well in big games, so I liked our chances with him. I just didn't know how many runs we were going to score off Guidry. But when we went ahead 2-0, I was feeling really good about it.
And then, famously Bucky comes up, and then that 7th inning, he's fouling pitches off, hurts himself. Mickey Rivers says, "Hey, homie, I think you got a crack in your bat." And what Bucky says that whole time, Torres wasn't throwing any warm-up pitches at all, and he thinks that affected him. What was going through your mind? I mean, did you ever think a guy like Bucky Dent would be the difference maker in this one-game playoff?
Well, I know that's what everybody looks at that and says, Bucky's 3-run homer won the game for him, and it was obviously a big blow. But to be honest with you, the guy that, in my mind, won that game was Lou Piniella. We've got Guidry down 2-0, right? We've got two guys on in like a 4th inning, something like that, and I come up. Now, I hit Guidry. When I hit him to left center. That was my game plan, just go the other way with him. Well, Lou Piniella's playing in right because they didn't want Reggie out there because of the bad sun. Even though Reggie wants to play right, doesn't like DH, and they put Lou out there because they thought he could play it better. Well, right field in Fenway Park at that time is just brutal. It's really brutal. So anyway, Guidry throws a slider, and I crush it into the corner, and I hook it. And Lou runs it down, makes a snow cone, reach out, lunging, snags it. And nobody thinks much of it, but if he doesn't get that ball, it's 4-0. I'm on third, and we've got Guidry out of the game. Now, in the middle of their bullpen was not good. I mean, that was the Achilles heel. So if we knock him out, and that would have been it right there. 4-0. He's out of the game. That game's over.
Wow, that's a good point.
He makes that catch. Okay. So fast forward to Bucky Dent, and Bucky Dent. I played him like I don't know. I was in pretty tight because he had no power the other way, and he just happened to catch one, and I'm backing at Yaz and left, and it looks like it's going to hit the wall, and so Yaz is up close, and I'm going to play it off the wall if Yaz doesn't get it, and it just scrapes over him. Oh God! It was one of those wall scrapers, but that put him ahead, but still we're in it. Reggie hits a homer. And then Lou Piniella makes the second great play. Rooster's on first. I think it's the 8th. Remy hits a line drive. He never sees it in right field. Lou never sees the ball. Now, Rooster can't tell if Lou's going to catch the ball, so he's between first and second. Now, remember, there's only one out. So Lou puts his hands up, and he kind of like decoying Rooster. Well, it hits him in the chest and falls right in front of him. Rooster goes to second instead of being able to go to third. With one out, Rice hits a long fly ball, which would have scored him and tied the game. So, in essence, in my mind, Lou Piniella saved the Yankees 3 runs. And everybody talks about Bucky Dent with a 3-run homer. You know what? When you save 3 runs, man, that's crushing against the other team.
Yeah, that line drive there. Otherwise, Rooster goes to third base there, and he scores on Jimmy Rice's sacrifice fly. So right there.
If it misses him, it goes by him. And the Remy, as fast as he is, it could be a triple. I mean, the floodgates could open. But I mean, the guy made 2 great plays that no one talks about. I was working at ESPN years later, and he was managing Seattle. And I said, Lou, why were you playing me to pull? No one plays me to pull against Guidry. You know what he said? He said, I thought he didn't have his best stuff. I'm going, geez, really? And so I scooted over. And that's really smart playing. I mean, the analytics can't teach you that. That's a gut feeling, and he knows his pitcher, so he scooched over about 10 feet. Well, that's the difference in the game.
And all that action happened actually in the bottom of the ninth inning. So you talk about drama. Goose Gossage facing the best hitters. Jimmy Rice, and then Carl Yastrzemski comes up with the tying and winning runs on base. What are you thinking in those moments? Did you think Yaz had a chance against Goose? Because you guys were getting to Goose.
I absolutely did. Yaz was obviously a little bit older, but he was at that point of his career, he just looked fastball. That's all he wanted to hit, was fastball. That's why he hit a home run off Guidry. Guidry threw him a fastball, he hit it. Boom. So he had already proved that he could hit a big leg fastball on Guidry's early in the game. So Goose, talking to Goose later on, he just said, you know what? I'm going to throw it as hard as I can and see what happens. And he did. And Yaz had a great swing. The pitch was just a little bit up. If it's just a little bit down in the zone, Yaz hammers it. But it's just enough up in the zone where he just couldn't get on top of it. And he hit it a mile in the air, and I know Nettles was looking out like, oh my God, it's up there forever. And, that was it. He makes the catch and it's over. It was an unbelievable game. My side of it was like, it was so crushing, but to look at it many years later, there was it was just a great game. It's not really a playoff game in the sense of what we have today, but the 163rd game of that season was pretty memorable.
It never dawned on us that we were going to lose. It was always, we're just going to go up there and beat them, go on and, win another World Series. That was our mindset.
And you talk about the toughness and having character. People, look, the Royals were a tough team in '77. You beat the Dodgers in '77, and just to get through the Red Sox. I mean, that Dodgers team in '77 you beat was stacked too. So you talk about the character of the team.
Yeah, the Dodgers had a really good team. Look, back then there was some really good baseball teams. Red Sox, Yankees, Royals, the Dodgers. All those teams were really good teams, and you had to play to beat those teams, and we just had that chemistry and that mindset that you weren't going to beat us.
So in October, that one-game playoff, it's a sunny New England afternoon. Guidry on the mound against Mike Torres, and people forget Mike Torres won 2 games for you guys in '77. Did him being on the team help you guys? Did Munson have any tips on how to face him at all? So when you came to the plate in that 7th inning, do you have any idea what he might throw?
You know what? You face a guy, he pitches for you. He was our teammate. He was a great competitor. Like you said, won some big games. He won Game 6 in the World Series, and I faced Mike, over the years when he was with Baltimore and Oakland. And, you have an idea how he's going to pitch you. Sure.
Okay, so let's talk about the game itself. Yastrzemski hits that home run. Red Sox are up 2-0. As the game's going inning by inning and the Red Sox are up, are you starting to feel the pressure more and more with every out?
Oh, sure. You could feel the electricity from the first pitch of the game. You could feel the electricity, and then we got behind, and you could feel the crowd, the intensity of the crowd, the intensity of the game, the magnitude of the game, each inning as it started to build. Yes, you could feel that.
We saw in last year's playoffs, and the Astros players actually admitting they were rattled by the Yankee Stadium crowd in the ALCS. What kept you guys from getting rattled in that position?
We'd won before. We'd won a world championship before, the year before, and we knew how to do it. And we had a lot of guys that had won championship before. You take Catfish, you take Reggie, you take guys like that. And then the year before, and then of course the Yankees had been in it in '76 and got beat. But so you just learn to kind of focus and put all that stuff out of your mind when the game's on.
When you're sitting on the bench now, was there a guy that kept the guys loose, or everybody was just focused? They knew what they had to do. Like you talked about, they knew how to win. No one had to say anything.
Everybody knew what they had to do, but that team was loose. They were confident. They were intense when they had to be intense, and as the game went on, you could feel the intensity. But there was always guys, that had that personality to keep guys loose and stuff like that. Yeah.
Well, now let's go to the 7th inning there. The Yankees rally. They got a couple of men on base. 2 outs. You come to the plate. And take us through that at bat. Facing Mike.
Well, I had fouled a ball off my foot before, in spring training, and I had a blood clot. So I didn't wear my guard that day. And during batting practice, I asked Mickey if I could borrow his bat. I was struggling a little bit. So during the time that I was hitting, I cracked it. It had a hairline crack. So when I fouled the ball off my foot, I went back to the on-deck circle, and, Bob had pinched it for Doyle. And we didn't have any more infielders because Randolph was hurt. So I was worried about my leg. And as I was standing there, Rivers came up to me and goes, "Hey, homie," he says, "that's the wrong bat." He says, "You got the one that's cracked." And I wasn't paying attention to him. I was worried more about my leg. And Mike Torres said that he didn't throw any warm-up pitches the whole time because he didn't think it was going to take that long. So when I started back to the plate, the bat boy, came up, and I wasn't paying attention. He just said, "Hey, Mickey said that's the wrong bat," and he gave me the bat. And I stepped in the box, and the first pitch Mike threw me was a fastball, a little bit in and down, and I knew I hit it pretty good, but I didn't see it go out because there was a shadow on the wall, and I was running real hard from home because I wanted to get to second if the ball bounced off the wall.
I know this is a corny term, but and how did it feel? I mean, what did it had to be complete elation when that ball went over the fence, and at what point did you know for sure it was gone? Is when Stremski kind of kneeled down and looked down, and at what point did you know it was gone? And just explain the euphoria you felt in your body running around the bases.
Well, when I rounded first base, I saw the second base umpire signal it was a home run, and then I looked out, and I saw Yastrzemski kind of like he was buckled over, And, everybody asked me, what were you feeling? And the only thing I tell them is that, hey, we're ahead, I mean, I hit a 3-run homer to put us ahead, and I do remember rounding third base how quiet Fenway was. You could hear the Yankee fans, but, as I touched the plate and ran back, the guys were out, and I could hear the Yankee fans, cheering and stuff like that. But other than that, I just said, hey, we're ahead. But, we had 3 more innings to go, and Boston had a great lineup.
Okay, so you got the lead 3-2, and then eventually it's 5-2. Reggie hits a home run, and you guys have that lead. And Goose comes in, and in '78, Goose struggled a little bit. He struggled initially in the beginning of the season, and this is when relief pitchers pitched more than 3 batters or 3 outs for that matter. The Goose went 2 1/3 innings there, and
yeah.
And the lead was starting to slip away. It was 5-4 in the 9th inning. And take us into the 9th inning as the Red Sox were rallying, and one of the big plays there too was the base hit that Remy got, that Piniella couldn't see anything in the outfield, and miraculously, Lou, wasn't necessarily athletic at that time, made an incredible play to really save the tying run. Take us, first going into the bottom of the 9th inning with that lead, and holding on there in that big play that Piniella made.
Well, Piniella made 2 great plays. He made one earlier in the game in the 3rd inning. Freddie Lynn hooked a slider in the corner, and the sun was really brutal that day. It was a crystal clear day, and, Piniella was in right field, and Piniella was a really good outfielder. He didn't run fast, but he got great jumps, and he had great instincts, and he knew how to play the hitters. And I'll never forget him saying early in the game in the 3rd inning, he knew Guidry was pitching on short day's rest, and he didn't have his real good breaking ball. So he had happened to move over a little bit at that moment when Lynn hooked that slider, and he wound up making the play. But in the 9th inning, Goose came in the 7th, and he was starting to tire a little bit, the intensity and, in the game. And then when Burleson got on, Remy hit that line drive, and Lou came in and kind of lost it in the sun. And Burleson didn't know what to do, and he stopped at second base. He didn't go to third, which was huge. And Piniella, caught the ball. He threw it in real quick, and then of course Jim Rice came up next and hit a long fly ball to right center. I think it would have tied the game up if Burleson would have kept going. And then I remember the last out, was Gossage against Yastrzemski, and Goose had that knack because I played with him my whole career. I started with him in '70. He had that knack. He was a big, hard thrower, and he could reach back and get a little bit more when he wanted to. And I'll never forget the fastball he threw Yastrzemski. He reached back and got just a little bit more, and that ball kind of jumped a little bit, and it was right down the middle, and Yastrzemski was a little bit late and popped it up to third.
I heard the story about that Munson wasn't even giving him signs. He was just waving him on. Bring it, big boy. Is that true?
Yeah, he used to do that a lot. He wouldn't even give a sign. He would just motion, bring it. Come on, just bring me your best stuff.
So when the ball's in the air, is it, or actually before the pitch? I mean, do you want the ball hit to you at that point, or you just want it to somebody else?
Well, I joke around. People say, well, "What were you thinking when you're standing out there? Don't hit the ball to me." But I knew if he hit it to me, I was going to catch it. You just, you're just hoping that you get him out. That he hit a ball to whoever. We had good defense, so. If they hit the ball on the ground, we had Nettles, myself, and Stanley, and Chambliss. So, we knew we would catch the ball if they hit it on the ground. But I was so elated when the ball was popped up.
I can't. And once the game is over, there had to be a feeling of complete relief. And at that point, you guys had to feel unstoppable.
Oh my God! It was just like the pressure of somebody just like wow. But we couldn't. We couldn't celebrate too long because we had to get on a plane and go to Kansas City and start the playoffs there, and they were another good team that we had to go through. But, to beat Boston in one of the greatest games ever played and be a part of history, I just thank God every day that I got an opportunity as a kid dreaming in the backyard that I would get an opportunity to play in some big games and play for the Yankees, and I got to do it all.
It was probably the most nerve-wracking game I've ever been a part of. I never got nervous pitching. I wasn't nervous while I was pitching. I got nervous after I came out of the game because you don't have any say anymore, and it's out of your hands. It's all up to somebody else. But all my teammates were telling me just sitting down watching the game on the bench was nerve-wracking. Like if we were hitting and they were watching their teammates hit, they were nervous because they wanted them to hit, drive in a run, get a big hit, do something. Guys that didn't play in the game couldn't sit still and watch it. They'd walk up and down. When I came out of the game, when I went to ice my shoulder down after the 7th inning, when I was in the clubhouse, there was 6 or 7 players. They said, I can't watch it in the dugout. I'll watch it on TV. It was just nerve-wracking. And Bucky was right. It's the most nerve-wracking game I think we ever had to